these two great guys from some company I'm not going to say, but I just met them, and but when the Lord said that Satan will have the whole world deceived, it's because he has the people tricked, thinking we live on a spinning ball flying through space. Well, meanwhile, our Bible tells us over 70 times the earth is flat and cannot be moved.
There you go.
Did you know that? Well, you know what? You can, well, I don't know if you read the Bible or not, but it's over 70 times. But you can see it everywhere. They show you the globe.
Yeah.
It's in the movies, in the TV commercial, it's everywhere. And the thing is, we don't live on a spinning ball flying through space.
You know what the thing is with these flat earth people? There's like one or two conclusions. Either they really believe this shit and they're really fucking sad, or they're full of shit and they're just like playing along because they got nothing better to do, which is also really fucking sad. The thing is, it's hard to say which one is worse. Well, A, that you're a complete moron and you believe this shit because you're so dumb and so uneducated and so
mindless,
so impressionable, so mindless that you believe whatever you read. Oh, I read it online, it must be true. You know.
My mother said.
Yeah. So, or you are making this shit up because you absolutely have no life and all you want to do.
Nothing else to do.
You got nothing else to do. I mean, what is going on there? Either one of those.
Hi, honey.
It's just people you don't even want to spend time with. You're like, hey.
Seeing as how we've never been out of the woods here back in my day.
How come one or two of them haven't had their GPS drive them to the edge? You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't think about that.
Seems like something you would do.
Why don't you go to the edge? Why don't you go explore? Why don't you fall off the edge? Why is all the water on Earth not falling off into space? Alright, well this is kind of a lot that I'm talking about here, but it's basically all under the umbrella of, is there an edge and why aren't you showing me a picture of it?
Why doesn't the water fall off?
Because the Antarctica isn't just the boundary of this place. So the Antarctic coastline, Antarctic as a continent is just amazing because it's about 200, no, we're talking, not talking Games of Thrones, but it's 200 to 300 foot wall of ice straight up at the edge. So the water's not going anywhere.
What's underneath? What's underneath? If we dig down, what's underneath? A network of tunnels, a network of funnels, a funny little goblin guy.
My friend Hank last week was pushed off of the edge of Earth, was floating away, and the giant turtle came in and snapped him up and ate him right before my very eyes. And you're going to tell me that this is okay?
People say, oh, you'll fall off the edge. You can't. There's a giant ice wall around.
Ice wall? If you need more milk.
And we don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to you more about it. No, you have to, all right.
There's a coffee.
Why don't you ask yourself, why don't you fall off the round spinning ball that you think you live on? What makes it so much easier to just casually live on a ball, spinning, tilting, rotating, whirling and shooting through space?
That looks good. That looks very... Yes! That's the hit of the whole fruit right there. Ha, ha, ha. I've got the bloody slingshot over this bloody distance. It's going to go dead bloody straight. And I'm going to aim at that bloody can up bloody there. And so... I aim a straight bloody line at it. If I hit it, it's bloody flat, isn't it? The bloody world's bloody flat. And if the little marble goes over the top of it, shows that there's a bloody globe, doesn't it? Because the curve, see, the bloody marble is going to go dead bloody straight. My finger here will say is the, geez, bloody Charlie's in a bloody funny mood. So it's going to go bloody straight and hit it. Bang. Flat earth. But if the earth's curved, the tin bloody can's going to be here and it's going to go over the bloody top, isn't it? Bloody logic. So we've bloody got the bloody slingshot, bloody loaded. Charlie and Belka are going bloody crazy in the bloody background. So let's bloody see, is it bloody flat or are the globalists bloody correct? Okay, take bloody 2. So what do you bloody reckon, you bloody globalists? It's bloody flat. There's your bloody proof.
So, we come here and we can see clearly we've already established that the box that we're using, the fish tank that we're using, is sitting levelled because, again, embarrassing, we already know that the water is going to tell us whether it's levelled or not. But we have to get through this, as I say, because there's some childish morons out there who actively deny reality and want you to be as stupid as they are. We have used a ruler and we have created markers. As you can see, 100mm on this wall, 100mm on this wall, 100mm on this wall. Is that accurate? Yep. And 100mm on this wall. Who are we?
That's it.
Yep. So as we can see here, we're still levelled with the containment. Okay? What now I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to elevate one side of the containment like such. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the surface and show that the surface of the water. Okay, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And round here.
Yeah.
Okay?
10.5.
So, as we can clearly see, the water will indeed show us level and elevation upon any given point of the surface of the body of water. The water is formless, it does not support shear stress, just as we can highlight here. You know, we have different shapes and objects in here. You know, we can look at something like this, we can put it back in. You know, the water does not display that topography upon the surface. It cannot support itself. Its lowest potential state is a horizontal plane. So I really don't know what else to say on the matter. The conclusion is very simple, as has been stated. Just as you observe, I encourage everybody to do these tests yourself. It is the scientific method.
Uh-oh, retard alert, retard alert, retard alert, class!
There are hundreds and maybe more than 1,000 proofs out there.
showing that the Earth is not a ball, it's not moving. Some are fairly simple, some are take a lot more thinking through. But I wanted to kind of bring it down to the least common denominator and a very simple proof. Again, even though there are hundreds, we can bring it down to one simple fact upon which everything else rests, and that is the curve or no curve. The ball, Earth, if there's no curve, there's no ball. This is not hard. This is not rocket science. If there's no curve, there's no ball. If there's no ball, there's nothing orbiting around the ball. If there's no ball, we've never been to the moon. If we've never been to the moon, we don't have any moon photos and photos from the moon to the Earth. If there's no ball, then there's no satellites moving around the ball. And if there's no satellites, there's no satellite photos. This is not hard. If there's no satellites, there's no satellite photos. If there's no ISS, there's no ISS photos. So the only proof you need is that if there's a curve, then the Earth could be a ball. But if there is no curve, it cannot be a ball.
So I'm looking at the sun. It's back here behind me. And so part of my ball is illuminated just like the moon up there. Same direction. Now, I can't just go up there and prove that there is light on the other side. I mean, I can put my camera around like that. I can only do that. But I can't go up there to the moon.
The mechanics of it all, to assume that it's a big chunk of mass that is falling through empty space, and just so doing so with everything else falling around it in perfect sync is just that is insane. That's fantasy. It really is. And it's
Believe me, folks, Santa Claus is not real. You might have said, I've seen pictures. I know he's got to be real because I've even received presents from Santa Claus. Well, Santa Claus is dead. He never was real. If there's no curve, there is no ball.
So why do we just take people's words for everything? That's the moon, or that's Mars, or we might not have a moon and that it's actually Mars. I'm leaning towards it being a reflection and a luminary of Earth back onto the atmosphere of the particulates and water in the sky, the moisture and reflections of dust particles in the sky.
This is where you really live in my head, okay? It's a grid of energy, okay? And when you see the aeroplanes above you, they're flying along like so, and you see these, what their people are calling chemtrails, which is just condensation going like that. Yeah, that's coming out the back, and they're in straight lines, because you're looking up there, and you're seeing straight lines, because this guy is flying his aircraft like so above a flat. I'm in a debate with myself a moment with this stationary business. Leave that with me. Personally, I think we're in motion. Everything in atomic level is, but that's another story.
This little flat earth donkey waits for the sun rising.
So here's our tennis court, and as the Earth spins towards the east, you can obviously see how compared to the center of the court, one side goes down and one side goes up. Yet I don't experience a difference playing on this side as opposed to that side, or if the court happened to be oriented east-west instead of north-south. And here's the thing, this phenomenon should be different depending on where you're located, because the Earth spins at different speeds depending on which latitude you're located on. Yet you don't hear about the Minnesota Golden Gophers tennis team going down and struggling against the Miami Hurricanes because the speed of the Earth is 40% faster in Miami than it is in Minneapolis.
This is a ball of water. It's not really, it's glass, but just for example, in the sky, a rain droplet comes down, yeah? When it hits this grid of energy where we live, it does that. They all form together, and as you can see there, it's flat level horizon. See, when you look across the sea or a lake, it's flat. That's why we use water with an air bubble in it for a spirit level.
Gravity, the theory of gravity falls to the ground because you only need gravity on a spinning ball. You don't need it if the Earth is flat. They only came up with the theory around 1700 after they postulated Earth was a ball. So everything depends upon, if there's no curve, there's no ball and nothing else.
People assume that weight is created or caused by gravity. You can't have weight without gravity. But what people fail to understand is that weight and gravity are the same thing. They have the same meaning. But you're trying to explain the cause and effect and match it up with the Earth being another planet in this spinning solar system. I just think of that and it just, that's not what is happening in real life. We are not spinning, we are not moving, we're not going around the sun. Why should we be? The only reason we need to think of it in that way is because the heliocentric model was created with an idea of having the sun as at the center, because the focus on telling the time on this Earth is done with the sun. That's all.
How do you establish level? How do you see? Let me see here. It's running off. Dan, I can't hear it, you stealing the ball. Am I missing something?
Probably, mate.
What am I missing?
Try once again.
It's just running off, making a mess of my table.
You don't need an external force to make you stick to the Earth because it's not a ball, and so you don't need to consider that something else is making you stick in all directions around this ball. It's as simple as that.
Now this doesn't just work if you're looking, say, north. If you turn the globe, or turn yourself, it's the same thing. It's curving in that direction. Face south, it's curving again. Face west, curving again. This is how basic it is. This is literally how simple it is. Yeah, you're on a ball, according to them. So the higher up you climb up your mountain, you should see this. The only way they get this is with these fake fisheye lenses.
There is no curve, distances that we could not possibly see if Earth were a curve, but we see them. Secondly, gyroscopes show no curve. Thirdly, high altitude balloon and other footage shows flat, no curve. Number 4, airplane pilots always fly straight and level. They never fly dipping their nose down, and there's numerous other proofs, again, showing there is no curve, and if there is no curve, there's no ball, and everything else falls to the ground. Simple proof, or you can just believe the Bible.
We're teaching our children that there are planets and places to go up in the sky, when Jesus says that no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man which is in heaven.
It's what the Bible says. It's just obviously what the text of the Bible says. In Genesis chapter 1, God begins creation with a great deep of water, and then he pulls up the land from the water, and then he puts a dome, a firmament over the earth, and he says in Genesis 1:14-20, it talks about how the sun, moon, and stars are in the firmament.
When I started believing flat earth, because it's the truth, when I started believing that, sorry, there's a semi here trying to get over us. Once I started believing that, then I started to understand the order of the stars. And it's not because I'm smart, it's because Jesus is actually, in reality, showing us the truth.
God doesn't begin creation with a molten iron core and then layer some strata around her, some lava or magma, and then, you know, none of that is in there. It's clearly a flat earth model. And then when you look in Proverbs chapter 8, the author talks about there being this circular boundary that holds in the oceans. And that's basically the Gleason map of 1894. I mean, it's word for word what the Bible says. That's number one.
Or what's more important, Jesus or flat earth? And I'm like, I don't see it that way. It's not a competition. Jesus is teaching us flat earth.
I've written the most detailed criticism of gravity that I've ever come across.
Is flat earth more important than Jesus? Ask Jesus, because he's the one teaching it. Do you know what I mean? If it's important to him, it's important to me. And if he sent his spirit to show us, to guide us into all truth, and this is what we're seeing.
So the sun is the primary attractive body in both the geocentric and heliocentric models. And in both of those models, they have to teach that the sun is exploding, it's an exploding bomb, and it's attracting all the planets to it at the same time. So it's both exploding and attracting. It's a fundamental contradiction right at the very heart of the theory.
The book of Enoch. Enoch believes that flat earth is a salvation thing because the order of the stars will be concealed from the sinners. Sinners means something. That means they're sinning, sinners. And then righteous also means something. That means, maybe it means not sinning.
We are living in a terrarium environment, and that just flatly proves prima facie evidence that there is a special creation here.
One way or the other, it's not a spinning ball. That's the important part. That spinning ball is a false image. It's a false, corruptible image that we changed the glory of God into, and now the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hide the truth in unrighteousness.
So many things that we call science that we just accept generally.
Yeah.
And when you read news articles and you read, you know, articles about scientific discoveries, they just assume things like, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves is when you see a news article and it says 5 million years ago, as if anyone could possibly know. I mean, for all we know, the sun didn't exist 5 million years ago. Like, for all we know, like, we're living in an epoch which is going to end, and all of physics are going to reverse the other direction, like tomorrow. Like, that could be the case. Like, if you had been born you know, at sunrise and you died before sunset, you would never know that there was a world that the sun ever set it, right? I think, you know,
the recent SpaceX rocket, they caught a mouse on the back of the rocket in public. There's articles, big mainstream articles that talk about this. Yes, there was a mouse caught on the back of the rocket. They saw a mouse crawling around the thruster in the back of the rocket.
as a lot of you may already or may not know, that Earth is flat. It's on the back of a giant turtle floating through outer space. Now, when you look up the square footage or the square miles of Earth, it says it's 197 million square miles. Yet, only 29% of Earth is actually covered in land. Yet, our governments want to social distance us 6 feet, and if you take 7.5 billion people and you distance them all at 6 feet, I'm not a mathematician, but essentially you'd be pushing people not only into the oceans, killing them, because, well, humans cannot swim in the ocean, but you'd also be pushing them into outer space.
I've debated all the top guys in the whole globe Earth thing. I spent years doing this. What they're basically going to say is that we basically flushed human reason.
All these guys just run from me. It's like, okay, what do you want? Do you want me to be like impaired when we have the debate? Okay, I'll impair myself. I'll like go into total impairment mode. I'll go out drinking and then come home and drink like a third of a bottle of whiskey. Like, that's a lot of whiskey. I drink a lot of whiskey just to make myself as mentally impaired as possible. Come on in, all of you.
I am one of the original families down here in the South. My 12th great grandfather arrived in the Jamestown settlement in 1612, and then he was a functioning magistrate. Your opinion means nothing to me. I am claiming to have a blood and meritorious right to rule the southern states.